Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. This show, hoof trim issues.
Sammy has never had any problems with shoes because we've never shoed her. She has really good hooves, good concavity, good healthy callus. And I have an article that I want to discuss with Michael on camera today when we get to doing Even Sadie. I got it on the internet. And let me show you. It's just like a 7-page article, Understanding the Horse's Soles by Pete Ramey, R-A-M-E-Y, 8/16/05. I've read this article twice. I have questions. It's, I think, extremely valid. We'll talk about it with Michael. I have questions especially on pages 4 and 5, where it talks about feral horses and has some pictures that I don't even understand. And I'm hoping in today's video we can clarify these issues and help people who are themselves trying to decide whether or not their horses need shoes, and if their horses get tender soles, why it might be that the soles are tender. Semi's left front sole. Her concavity is great, and Michael is going to look up for a moment because we still don't have our mics on and tell us what he is seeing.
This horse has real good feet, good clean frog, good concavity, good hoof wall, looks real good, it's nice and balanced. Yeah, looks good.
Okay, so we expect the other 3 to be just fine too. If not, we'll turn on the camera and then turn it back on again when we do Sadie and her mom, Eve. This is still Semi. I just want to show you her back hoof. Also, very good conformation, hoof conformation. And if Michael has anything to say, he'll say it. We've got mics on now.
Yeah, the feet are perfect. I mean, there's nothing really they just need maintenance, need to be trimmed, and they're good feet though. Just need to trim off the excess hoof wall.
And they have a good concavity. And what's this thing called right here?
Oh, just the cracks in between the frog and bar.
Yeah, but there's a name for it. And my article.
What do you call them, corns? Or
you used a lot of vocab that I'm going to try to mention today in this show. It's very important how far away those grooves are from the corium. I remember that word.
Depends who you ask.
And while Michael is doing this, I'm just going to talk about this article, what I understood and what I didn't, what I highlighted it in yellow, because I think I should understand it. Whether I do or not, I will find out, I hope, today. But I'll come up with this vocab too. And while you're watching, Michael trim Sam's rear left. Collateral grooves, that's what they're called. And listen to this. This is on page 4, and I told you I have questions. So can I read it to you, Michael? And
yes.
We can talk about it. Wild hooves and healthy domestic hooves with uniform sole thickness tend to have their collateral grooves, parentheses, at the deepest part, about 3/4 inch off the ground at the apex of the frog.
That's about right.
And about 1 inch off the ground toward the back, near the termination of the bars. These measurements can be taken by laying a rasp across the foot and measuring down to the bottom of the groove. So if we have a chance, maybe you can show us what they mean because you have a rasp in your hand.
Just lay a rasp like this, and then you want not much space underneath.
Yeah.
In there, about 3/4 of an inch.
In the back. No, in the back they said 1 inch.
Well, in the back it's 1 inch, but
in the front 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah, but it gets shallower and then goes deeper as it gets back here.
It does.
So it's probably 1 inch here, and then it goes to, half, 3/4 and half, and it just gets shallower as it goes to the front.
Okay. It says, furthermore, that these measurements are far more critical to the horse than toe length or heel height measurements. The coffin bone and lateral cartilages often descend into a lower position in the hoof capsule, and this leaves a hoof capsule that is longer than natural. This is unhealthy, of course, but trimmers and farriers who ignore this fact and trim to heel or toe length dimensions add injury to injury by overexposing the nerves in the corium on the bottom of the foot. Thinning the sole tends to cause the inner structures to move lower and lower, lengthening the overall hoof capsule. The flip side of this is that allowing the sole to build and callus at optimum thickness drives the inner structures upward. The coronet moves down the skeleton, shortening the hoof capsule to natural proportions as the callus builds. The center and right pictures below show the natural sole thickness and concavity of wild horses' hooves. Now I'm going to put this up in front of the camera. If you can zoom in on those pictures, this is just a copy. You might see it better if you go to Google and actually download the article, but I didn't understand this picture. And I don't know if you will either, Mike. And maybe it's because it's so unclear.
This one on the right, it's half of it. This side is with the hoof wall, and this is the hoof wall removed, and it shows the sensitive laminae. And so they're just showing you the depth of when you take those, how deep the cracks are. You can see how deep the crack is, and then where the actual sensitive laminae in the bone is at.
Okay.
So if you take it down to,
Gotcha.
you know, an inch deep, 3 or 3/4 inches deep, it shows you how much further the coffin bone is, or the sensitive laminae.
Okay, and here I guess they're looking at, oh, here is a cutout showing the laminae. I understand that. Okay. All right, so
they're showing you that, like, to trim, you don't look at the heels of the toe, you look at, you know, down on the inside of the foot, because the deeper it is in here, like the deeper it is down in these cracks, the further away the sensitive tissue is. So, like, if I do it at the right depth right here, then I can then I know how far to trim the heels and toe down. So once I get it right here, once I trim the frog down and I get it, you know, an inch deep and 3/4 inches deep right here, then that tells me how far to take the heels and toe down to keep it balanced, and that's how you know how far to trim it down.
We just lost a very wonderful person to lung cancer. His name was Lawrence Hurst, and he used to be my farrier. And he worked on many, many, many horses who had this dreaded, horrible disease called laminitis or founder. I've had bouts of it with my Morgans, and fortunately I had Lawrence to help me. I want to show you kind of an amazing picture of what can be done by a farrier to help a horse that had a rotating coffin bone. That's this picture here where my index finger is from my right hand. You probably can't see it, but this coffin bone right here that is seeable with an x-ray was rotating down. The tip of the coffin bone can actually come through the sole in some cases, and usually those horses are euthanized. After 6 months of proper treatment from a farrier, you see this bottom x-ray where there is a nail to show you that the coffin bone is no longer rotated and is parallel to the outside of the hoof. If you have any concern about laminitis or founder, and you rely on your vet and your farrier to help you through it, I highly recommend that you go to and print out www.hoofrehab.com/horses_sole, that's SOLE.htm. That's this article. Let them read it. Make sure you read it. and have some hope that you can get them through this dreaded bout of laminitis or founder. Okay, we're going to turn off for now, and we'll turn it back on with Eve and Sadie.
So this horse has already developed a thicker toe callus and a thicker sole. Last time the sole was real tender, so we kind of trimmed it down, and this one removed the shoes on, right? This one had shoes?
Yes.
We pulled the shoes, trimmed the horse, and then took a barefoot and did a, nice concavity, and then the sole in, 4 weeks has already gotten thicker and tougher, a little more concaved. Before the sole was actually lower than the hoof wall. Now it's higher up there. It's actually got a little more concavity.
And how are the collateral grooves?
They look perfect. You see, the depth in there is nice, and it gets shallower as it goes towards the tip of the coffin bone. I mean, look how nice the frog looks, and everything looks great. The bars, everything just looks perfect. Starting to look more like the other horse I just did.
Semi.
They're starting to look like transition into the way that horse's feet look. So.
Okay, and at first when we pulled the shoes last time, I did use caballos during the day when they were pasturing in my pasture across the street, and I'd pull them at night. But after about 4 days of that, I wanted to make sure that their hoof could really dry out, because the caballos will keep moisture in if there is moisture, even though there are holes in the bottom of the caballos or close to the bottom. And so we stopped using the caballos except for when we worked the horses. And Eve and her daughter Sadie seemed to stay sound. So
it's a process. Like, I've worn shoes my whole life, so if I took my shoes off, my feet wouldn't be they wouldn't be tough, and they wouldn't have calluses in the bottom of them. But after a while, it would hurt, but my feet would become tougher over time and prevent them from hurting. But if I had never worn shoes my whole life and walked around, I would have really tough feet. So it's a process in which their feet have to kind of toughen up again and return to the way they were in the wild.
we weight tape the horses twice a week, once during the middle of the week, once on the weekend. So we watch their weights relative to the last time they were weighed using the weight tape. We feed them only grass hay, good quality fescue that we get from Scotts Valley Feed.
That'll help prevent against laminitis and anything like that, because it's not and there's not too many nutrients.
They get to look forward to their treat at night, but here's what we give them for a treat is a couple of cups of enriched 32 mixed with some wetted beet pulp that does not have molasses in it. And then we give them a scoop of Heiro, H-E-I-R-O, that we get mailed to us every month, which helps to deal with horses that get to pasture on grass but have a tendency towards equine metabolic syndrome, EMS. We've done shows on this in the past. I have to say, happily, and knock on wood, that since we've been feeding them this way, we've had no problem with apparent possible bouts of laminitis, and we still continue to let them graze on grass day and night.
Horses' feet look so much better than last time. Last time they were softer, and the sole was lower, and even like the hoof wall on the edge is tougher. So what we'll do here is do like what's called a Mustang roll. In order to prevent from chipping, you really got to dub this off, take away the sharp edge. No, you see that? Pulling out the microphone.
Oh. Yeah.
You're trying to pull the microphone out of my pocket.
Well, she might think it's a carrot. Okay, that's Eve's left front. If we have anything more to say?
No, just you got to make sure you really round off and do this Mustang roll, and that'll prevent that sharp edge from chipping and tearing and peeling up. So that when it hits stuff, there's just a nice dubbed edge. Horses' feet are looking a lot better.
Okay, we'll turn it back on when we have some more to teach you.
So this horse already has like way better concavity. Before, the sole was the same height as the hoof wall, and then now you can see that look, I can stick my whole finger under there and I haven't even turned the hoof wall off. So increased concavity, the frog's perfect. I don't know what else I said on the other foot. I mean, everything's just perfect. You know, the cracks, the bars look good, and that's only like in 4 weeks. So I can't imagine another 5 weeks how good the feet will look.
According to this article, that horse that I showed you so much improvement with the coffin bone, this writer says, over the next 4 months, I simply let this sole build, keeping the barn heel wall lowered to the height of the sole. When the sole built to adequate depth, the bars follow the resulting natural concavity and straighten themselves.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, everything's just perfect already on this foot, just how balanced it is, and the hoof wall, it's all intact, and just a really good foot. I mean, just no inflammation, and, you know, sometimes, like earlier we're talking about how often to get your horses trimmed, and, you know, some horses you gotta do like every 3 weeks, some you can go 10 weeks, it just depends. You know, these horses we started, because we pulled the shoes, we started, you know, at 4 weeks. And we're trying to get them to like a 6-week trim. So next time we'll do 5 weeks, and then eventually, you know, we just come and do like a 6-week trim, and then the feet are just perfect. They've toughened up, developed a callus. The hoof walls, you know, hoof wall looks good, and it's higher than sole, and so
and no stretch lamina. Did you see any in the front today?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look how clean and just natural the feet look. You know, you make sure everything's balanced, and they look good.
Okay, so we're done with Eve?
No, I gotta rasp the top foot.
Oh, okay.
And then we're done. Like, do that Mustang roll. That's why they didn't chip at all.
Yeah.
Because you really gotta, you know, round off the edge. That's like half the trim is putting them up here.
By the way, Michael was educated at UC Davis. We all have a high regard for that school.
God damn it. Give it to me.
Years past, I went to a couple of Farrier clinics at UC Davis. I was going to all kinds of clinics because my eldest daughter was in vet school there.
Yeah.
And the fellow that was in charge of the Farrier clinics had a
Was it Bob Smith?
I can't remember his name, but he had a special interest in laminitis because he had lost a beloved pony when he was a kid. And every time I'd go to the next clinic and he was teaching it, I'd say, anything new known about laminitis? And he'd say, unfortunately, no.
It's like cancer, you know? I mean, it's amazing like how Steve Jobs, like what he can create, like with Apple and all these electronic things, but then he dies of cancer.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell? Like, it's just one of those things that like so many horses get, but so many people get cancer, but we can't cure it, you know?
Right.
This fucking thing's strangling me.
Okay, we're going to turn off the camera until we do Sadie, Eve's daughter, who is here ready to go in the square pen at Shadrack Farms. This is Sadie. Shadrack, Sun and Shine Sadie, Eve's daughter. She had her shoes pulled last time too, about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, they already look better. You can see, you know, you can see the hoof wall higher than the sole all the way around. Got a nice thick, look at that, that horse didn't even feel it. Nice thicker sole. They're not as like, they have more integrity this time. Last time they were full of water and like the shoe couldn't even hold on. It just would come off, and they're just a tougher foot all the way around. Look how perfect the frog is, and I haven't even trimmed it yet. Look at like how perfect, the perfect triangle. Everything looks good, you know. The cracks look good, and yeah. So seeing a, you know, obviously a huge improvement just in 4 weeks.
Are the collateral grooves deep enough, or do we want more depth?
They look perfect. That's what I'm looking at right now. Judging, I'm looking at the depth here, and then the toe. I'm looking. That's how I decide how much hoof wall to take off. They look perfect. I mean, it just needs to trim off the excess and kind of make sure it's completely balanced, but looks good.
Another problem we kept having with her shoes is somehow the thrush would grow under the shoe.
It's trapped.
Yeah, and today we are not seeing any thrush.
There's no
at least.
thrush, no bacteria. Just Gotta, you know, trim off the extra hoof wall.
And I have to say that in the past 4 weeks or 5 weeks, Sadie has not shown any favoring, no lameness, and when we work her, we do use the cavallos, but otherwise she's barefoot day and night.
Yeah,
And
horse will be fine. Barefoot is just a process. Like, they're going to be sore at first usually, just like I'd be sore when I take my boot shoes off, but then your feet get tougher and develop callus.
And it is October, so yeah, this was September, which is one of the hottest months in Santa Cruz usually. But I do irrigate. I irrigate everywhere. So she was exposed to water, even though it was a hot month. And yet her hooves don't seem soft or mushy or thrushy or anything.
They look awesome.
We'll open up the camera again when we lift another foot if there's something more to say. But so far, we're very, very pleased
Yeah, they look awesome.
with Sadie's progress. And thank you, Michael. So now we're doing that Mustang roll, is that correct?
Yeah, trying to get all this dead stuff off the foot, and then there's like this sharp edge where the nail holes were, and it's all gonna just crumble and chip up. So what I'm doing is dressing it down like this, and then rounding off this edge so it doesn't tear and chip. That'll help the feet get tougher as well, not chip, but it'll help them become tougher.
And what would you say about the slant of the front of her hoop? Does it look okay to you?
Yeah, it looks perfect. It's not concaved at all. I mean, there's no dipping. It's just perfectly level. Both feet just look perfect. There's no
And her
rings.
heel looks like it's a good thickness too, would you say?
Yeah, everything's just textbook on this horse.
Okay.
Whoa.
Now this is my youngest filly, and she's got a lot to learn. She's not as patient as her mom. She's doing okay though. Her weight is good. She did used to be quite overweight until I put her on that strict diet of grass hay, enriched 32, molasses-free, wetted down beet pulp, and the hay row.
What's enriched 32?
I think it's a Purina feed.
Yeah.
And I really don't know why it's good in that mixture, but it's recommended by Dr. Riley, which is where I get the hay row.
Oh, cool.
And he does as scientific studies as he can with his product.
It's probably good for their feet too. Has a lot of nutrients.
Maybe, I don't know. But I am adamant about weight taping them, about making them walk to get to their feed. I have automatic feeders that drop every 4 hours.
There's a lot of people that should follow that theory.
Oh, I know that.
Walking to and from your food.
It takes a lot of effort to do what I have set up for my horses here on a small property, trying to give them as natural a life as I can.
Look at the concavity back here.
Now, what's she doing?
Fucking around up there. Is it on? Yeah.
We're on.
The back feet are a lot better back here. I mean, the concavity is just like way deep in the back foot compared to the front. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the front feet to look like this, how much more concavity. That way, there's so much more weight bearing on the outside of the hoof wall and the bars. That way, rocks and stuff aren't pushing up in the sole. So if we allow the hoof wall to be lower and elevate the sole up off the ground, then it'll give a chance for this to toughen up and develop and to become, stronger and thicker. You can see how clean that foot is. And
on RFD, a week or so ago, they had a special. Rick Lamb, who does the horse show, had a special with his farrier. And it was a half-hour show. It was information-filled. Doesn't have as much information and as many examples as this Urban Cowgirl show has and will have when I upload it and broadcast it. But any opportunity that horse owners have to learn what a farrier does has to be helpful. In some respects, I consider the farrier more important than the vet, because the farrier is regular maintenance so that you don't need a vet.
Plus, like a lot of times, like if they have lameness issues, it's in the foot, because and the vet will come out and say, oh, call the farrier, or have the farrier do this, or have the farrier do that. Like a lot of times, you come out and they'll have navicular. A vet will see the horse has founder. They'll have, I mean, they treat abscesses all the time, and these are all things that the farrier has to end up dealing with, whether he builds some kind of type of shoe or pad, or whether he has to cut something out, or just do a trim. So that's why it's so important, because. And if you do regular maintenance like with the farrier, then you usually don't have to call a vet. Like, Sonia won't have to call a vet on these horses because they're not going to get abscesses because she takes good care of their feet. They're not going to founder because she feeds them right and, exercises them. So, get them trimmed and, feed them properly and take good care of them, and then you don't have to call the vet. And
let them browse.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Graze. And that's why I've irrigated all my pastures. All right, Sadie. All right. So that they can browse and graze year-round.
Nice balanced foot. Yeah, you probably have to hold her, just like hopping around and stuff.
Sadie's weight is good. Can you zoom out a little bit? Show her weight.
Take a deep breath.
She used to be overweight. She's an old style Morgan. She's doing just fine now.
Looks like a real Morgan now.
Okay, one more. Let's see.
I'm gonna round in the.
Okay.
Clean up the foot. Do a Mustang roll. And, whoa.
Mustang roll.
Yeah, because that's why they didn't chip last time. See how look? They didn't even chip at all. You really got to round this edge off. It'll make the foot develop tougher too. You got like nail holes and sharp edges and stuff, and water and bacteria gets up in there, so you really want to dub it off. Perfect. Yeah, the feet just look so good already. This is with the rain and me only doing it for 4 weeks. Wait till it, wait till the next summer. I've only been doing them and it dries up and the feet will just be perfect.
As he does the final hoof on Sadie, I'm going to read you the final paragraph in this article by Pete Ramey. It says, if you make sure your horse's collateral grooves are a natural height off the ground, you will be amazed by their soundness and by your own ability to fix and prevent hoof problems. Nature was kind to the horse to provide such an accurate guide for us to follow. As usual, we just need to learn to listen.
That's right.
See more at www.urbancowgirlchannel.com.